Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Let me give everyone a second to get situated. Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting of the Board of Psychology's Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee to order. Mr. Gage, will you please call the roll to establish quorum?
Certainly. Cervantes.
Here.
Kasuga.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. That was item number 1 on the agenda. So item number 2 is the chairperson's welcome and opening remarks, and I'll be brief here. The goal of this committee is to advocate for legislation and develop regulations that provide for the protection of consumer health and safety. The committee reviews, monitors, and recommends positions on legislation that affects the board, consumers, and the profession of psychology. The committee also recommends regulatory changes and informs the board about the status of regulatory packages. This is our second and final meeting of the year. The board, however, continues to monitor legislation and regulatory packages throughout the year and reports at every board meeting. 2022 is also the second year of a 2-year legislative cycle. Last week, the legislature hit its House of Origin deadline, and it is nearing their summer recess. So that adds a little bit of context for our discussion today. By way of housekeeping, our meeting is scheduled to run from 10 to 2 p.m. Or until our business is completed. I want to aim for a short break, 90 minutes into our meeting at about 11:30, and assess how our business is going and either prepare for a lunch break or move through our agenda. How does that sound to staff and the committee members?
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you very much. All right, so that was item 2. Item 3 is public comment for items not on the agenda. Note that the committee may not discuss or take action on any matter raised during the public comment section except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda of a future meeting. Will the moderator please post the instructions for public comment and open public comment?
Absolutely. We are now taking public comment on agenda item 3. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will take people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment via WebEx. Madam Chair, I understand that you have physical locations open as well, maybe a few of them?
Oh, yes. Do we need to announce those?
Yes, we should announce those as well as give them an opportunity to each make a public comment.
Okay.
Seeing none on WebEx, would you like to move to the first public location?
Yes. And so the first public location is the Cerritos Field Office headquarters. That is where I am, and there is no one here with public comment. The second location is the Milton Marks Conference Center Monterey Room in San Francisco.
That's where I am. This is Dr. Kasuga, and nobody is here. Thank you.
Thank you. And the third location is 8920 Wilshire Boulevard, Is there anyone offering public comment there?
No, there is not. There's no one here.
Thank you. Does that meet our requirement, Mr. Moderator?
Absolutely. We will go through that same process every time. It might be a little bit tedious, but as long as we get a verbal that either no one's there or no one's interested in making a comment, that'll suffice.
Okay. Could I just ask if there is public comment at the remote locations and then see if there is, instead of going through each of the 3 locations every single time?
That's up to
Maybe
legal.
that's for legal, yes. Could I get a clarification on that?
Sure, as long as it's clear you're asking for public comment and that anybody pipes up if there is some to be had.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, let me see. So now our next item is our COVID-19 waiver update. Ms. Sorick?
Good morning, committee members and public. I have included in the meeting materials the current waiver update. The board is monitoring 4 active waivers, which are continuing due to the continued declared emergency. And I am available for any questions.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the committee members?
Yes, I had one question. So, Ms. Sorick, is the face-to-face waiver still in effect?
That's correct.
And we don't know how much longer that will last.
We do not know how long the declared emergency will continue. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any others?
None for me, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none, is there public comment? Is the we'll do the WebEx and then we'll do the location. Can we open the public comment? Thank you. On the WebEx.
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will take requests in the order they are received. While we're waiting, let's give our remote locations an opportunity to express their public comments. Hearing none and seeing none, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes. So there, just to clarify, so there's no public comment at the remote locations, right? On this item, we didn't have any.
Yes, no one is here. Thank you.
Okay. So now moving on. Yes, let's close public comment and move to the next agenda item. And so our next one is discussion number 5, discussion and possible approval of the committee meeting minutes from our March 25th meeting. Mr. Glass-Steagall? Do you have?
Yes, good morning, committee and members of the public. Included in your meeting materials under hand carry are the March 25th, 2022 committee meeting minutes. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any committee edits?
I can make a motion.
Please.
I move to adopt the meeting minutes from March 25th, 2022.
Second.
It's been Moved by Dr. Kasuga to approve the minutes and second by Dr. Phillips. Before we do our vote, we're going to open public comment and then we'll come back and do our vote. Let's open public comment, please.
We are once again open for
On the
public
remarks.
comment. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. While we're waiting to see if we have any requests, let's give our remote locations an opportunity to see if they have comments.
8920 Wilshire Boulevard, no comments.
Thank
No
you.
no comments from San Francisco.
And no comments from Cerritos either. Let's close public comment.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. So now we'll call for the vote. Mr. Gage, do you want me to repeat the motion?
No, that's okay. Cervantes,
Aye.
Kasuga,
Aye.
and Phillips.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving to item number 6 on the agenda. This is legislation from the 2021 legislative session, review and possible actions. This item begins on page 11. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Item A is our board-sponsored legislation. And this is SB 401 by Senator Pan, Healing Arts Psychology. Amendments to sections 2960 and 2960.1 of the Business and Professions Code regarding denial, suspension, and revocation for acts of sexual conduct. This is the item that begins on page 11 of the combined packet. There is no action required at this time, but we do have an update from staff. Mr. Glass-Steagall?
I will turn it over to Ms. Costa for the update.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Dr. Kasuga. Item 6A1 is SB 401 by Dr. Pan and is our sponsor bill. SB 401 is a carryover from last year, also known as a 2-year bill. It has been referred to Assembly Business and Professions and will be heard on Tuesday, June 21st at 9:30 a.m. Yesterday, June 9th, board staff submitted the letter to the committee and other Capitol staff members. This letter can be found in the hand carry folder. That concludes my update and remarks for SB 401. I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, and position. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any committee questions or comments? Seeing none, and since we will not be taking action, I'll move to item B. These are bills with active positions taken by the board during the 2021 This is also information, so we'll hear updates on each bill and then open for committee and public comment. On AB 32, Ms. Costa?
Yes, thank you. And can you state which page this is on in the combined packet, please?
Item 6B1, AB 32 begins on page 24 of the combined packet.
Great, thank you. This bill is by Assemblymember Aguiar Curry, and it is a 2-year bill and located in Senate Health and does not have a hearing date. It is supported by numerous organizations, including the California Psychological Association. That concludes my remarks for AB 32. for item 6B2, SB 731 by Senator Durazo. This bill is located on the Assembly floor and failed passage in 2021. This bill is available for reconsideration, but a vote has not been taken, and it has actually been moved to the inactive file, which means it will likely not be taken up for a vote this year. That concludes my remarks for SB 731. I am available for questions about both bills in item 6B. Thank you.
And can you touch on the next one, which is oh, I'm sorry, I only have two. Okay, is there any committee comment on item 6B?
No comment, but I appreciate the updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
No comment.
thank you. Can we open public comment for item 6B? Oh, actually, we don't need to open public comment, right? We're not taking action. Sorry, folks.
You can still check if there are any
Okay,
commenters but if you'd like, you can cluster it into groups, like this one and the last one you didn't take action on, just do a check.
okay, we'll do that. Can we open public comment? And we'll take public comment on items 6A or B. These are our items that we took positions on. Well, item A is our sponsored bill, so we have a position on that, and then B are bills that we reviewed in 2021 that we have positions on. Is there any public comment?
We are now accepting public comment on items 6A and 6B. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. While we're waiting for WebEx, shall we see if our remote locations have requests for comment?
There's no public comment from the Cerritos location.
I think in this situation where the two physical locations have expressed that no one is physically even there, I think that until or unless they express otherwise, it's fine if we save time on checking that, if everyone's comfortable with that.
Thank you, Ms. Bone.
I'm comfortable.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bond. Seeing no requests via WebEx, would you like to return to the agenda, Madam Chair?
Yes. Okay, so now moving to item 6C, these are watch bills from 2021. This begins on page 99 of the meeting packet, and there is a summary of two watch bills that remain of the watch bills we identified in 2021. Only two remain active, and on page 99 begins summaries for each of those bills, and those are listed here. It's AB 225 and AB 646. Is there any questions or comments from the committee on these two bills?
Not from me.
No questions from me either. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there public comment on item 6C?
We are now accepting public comment on item 6C. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda, Madam Chair?
Yes, please. Okay, so we did this one already. There we go. So item 7 is legislation for the 2022 legislative session review and possible action. So item A is review of bills for active position recommendations to the board. And this is a new one, AB 2222 from Reyes Student Financial Aid Golden State Social Opportunities Program. And it begins on page 106 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa?
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Item 7A1 is AB 2222 by Assemblymember Reyes. This bill creates the Golden State Social Opportunities Program, which would require the California Student Aid Commission to provide grants of up to $20,000 per year for qualifying students enrolled in a postgraduate program if they commit to register under the board as a psychological associate and work in a California-based nonprofit setting for their required post-degree hours of supervised experience as an associate registered with the Board of Psychology or with the Board of Behavioral Sciences. This bill would require the board to track the work settings, specifically nonprofit work settings, of registered psychological associates in order to certify non-performance of grant recipients. The Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee recommends, board staff recommends the Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee adopt a support if amended position on AB 2222. The analysis goes into greater detail about the following concerns: board involvement in tracking registered psychological associates relevant to the grant program, the fiscal impact on the board, and specific bill terminology. Staff is suggesting the following amendments: remove the requirement for the board to track work settings and remove the board's role in repayment exception of registered psychological associates, and to clarify terminology surrounding postgraduate degrees. This bill will be heard in the Senate Education Committee on June 30th, 2022. That concludes my remarks on AB 2222 by Assemblymember Reyes. I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, or recommended position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. Is there any committee comment?
I have no comment, but I'll make the motion that we recommended the board taking a supportive amended position of this bill.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a motion to support if amended by Dr. Phillips and second by Dr. Kasuga. Before we call to vote, we'll open public comment.
We are now taking public comment on the motion. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes. Okay. Before I call to vote, I just want to make a quick comment on the staff analysis. I really appreciate the careful consideration of the places. It's like, I guess here's what I want to say. I support this concept, but I think it's important to consider the potential workload on our staff, that already has huge responsibilities, a huge caseload of there's a huge amount of work that falls on our staff, and I appreciate that this analysis is carefully considers the potential, if this bill passed at the way it is, the potential increase to that workload. I think it was very thoughtful. So now, if there's no other committee comment, let's move on the motion to support AB 2222. If amended, it was moved by Dr. Phillips and second by Dr. Kasuga. Mr. Gage.
Mr. Gage had to step out, so I'll
Okay.
be calling. Cervantes,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Kasuga.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. I received a question about public comment, but we did do public comment on this item. So I will move to the next item, 7B, and these are bills with active positions taken by the board. And this item is information only. There's no action required. We're going to review the status of each bill and then open for committee comment and public comment after we review the status of each bill. So I'll start with, and Ms. Costa will help me with this. I'll start with item 7B1, AB 1662 by Gibson, Licensing Board Disqualification from Licensure Criminal Conviction. The item begins on page 122 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa?
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Item 7B1 is AB 1662 by Assemblymember Gibson. This bill would authorize a prospective applicant that has been convicted of a crime to submit to any board or bureau a request for pre-application determination that includes information provided by the prospective applicant regarding their criminal conviction. It would require the board, once receiving that request, to determine if the prospective applicant would be disqualified from licensure by the board. On April 29th, 2022, the board adopted an opposed position on AB 1662. The analysis goes into greater detail with the following concerns: liability and risk, increased workload, and significant cost pressures. This bill is in the Senate Business Professions and Economic Development Committee and will be heard this coming Monday, June 13th. Board staff has submitted an opposed letter, and that can be found in the hand carry folder. That concludes my remarks on AB 1662 by Assemblymember Gibson. I am available for questions about the bill or analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. We'll review the next item, number 2, AB 1733, Quirk, State Bodies Open Meetings. This item begins on page 137 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa?
Thank you again. Item 7B2 is AB 1733 by Assemblymember Quirk, and it would have required all open meetings to be held by teleconference and would have allowed the use for teleconference in closed sessions and remove existing provisions of the Act that require each teleconference location be identified in the notice and agenda accessible to the public. It also would have allowed or required hearings to be done in a hybrid model. The board adopted a supportive amended position on this bill on April 29th, 2022. On the same day, this bill did not meet the policy committee deadline and is therefore not moving forward this year. Board staff did submit a letter to the author to inform him of our position. That concludes my remarks on AB 1733. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3 is AB 2123 via PDUA, Bringing Healthcare into Communities Act of 2023. This item begins on page 153 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa?
Thank you. Item 7B3 is AB 2123 by Assemblymember Villapudua. This bill would have established the Bringing Healthcare into Communities program to be administered by the California Housing Finance Agency to provide housing grants to specified healthcare professionals to be used for mortgage payments. And this bill, the board adopted a support if amended position on this bill on April 29th. And on the same day, the bill did not meet the policy committee deadline and is therefore not moving forward this year. That concludes my remarks on AB 2123. Thank you.
Thank you. Then the next one is item AB 2754, Bauer Kahan, Psychology, Supervising Psychologist Qualifications. This item begins on page 156 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa.
Thank you. Item 7B4 is AB 2754 by Assemblymember Bauer Kahan. This bill would authorize remote psychological supervision within the board. The board adopted a support position on AB 2754 on April 29th, 2022. This bill is in the Senate Business, Professions, and Economic Development Committee and is sponsored by the California Psychological Association. This bill will also be heard this coming Monday, June 13th. Board staff submitted a letter to the committee, and that letter can be found in the hand carry folder. That concludes my remarks on AB 2754. Thank you.
Thank you. And then item number 5 is SB 1365 by Jones, Licensing Board's Procedures. And this item begins on page 168 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa?
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Item 7B5 is SB 1365 by Senator Jones. On April 29th, 2022, the board adopted an opposed position on SB 1365. On May 23rd, this bill was held in the Senate Appropriations Committee and will not move forward this year. That concludes my remarks on AB 1365 by Senator Jones. Thank you.
And then on item number 6 is SB 1428, Archuleta, Psychologist, Psychological Testing Technician Registration. This item begins on page 172 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa.
Thank you. The final bill in item 7B is SB 1428 by Senator Archuleta. This bill would create a new registration within the Board of Psychology for psychological testing technicians. On April 29th, 2022, the board took a support if amended position on SB 1428. On May 23rd, 2022, the author amended the bill on the Senate floor to include the board's amendments, plus one amendment that the board did not review. Within the bill, within Business and Profession Code section 2999.101 C3, the bill provides that a person engaged in gaining the experience can administer and score psychological and neuropsychological tests. Board staff did not have that additional language included in the board-approved amendments, and staff does not have any concerns about this amendment since it is consistent with our Practice Act. Therefore, board staff is recommending a support position on SB 1428 Archuleta. This bill is currently in the Assembly Business and Professions Committee and will be heard on Tuesday, June 21st at 9:30 a.m. It is sponsored by the California Psychological Association. Board staff submitted a support letter to the committee, and that letter can be found in the hand carry folder. That concludes my remarks on SB 1428 by Senator Archuleta, and I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, or the new support position. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Costa. That was a big chunk. So I want to open up to comments from the committee, and I think there will be some comments from staff as well for any of these bills in item 7B, where we have taken active positions for this year of 2022. Committee?
So I'm a little confused. On Archuleta, because the amendments that we asked for have been taken, we're now in a support position. Does that require any action on our part?
This is Antoinette. I don't believe so. The position that the board took was based on amendments the board approved back in April, and those were made. Typically, when that happens, the board goes from a supportive amended to a support by virtue of the fact that the suggested amendments were made. If the committee agrees with staff that there isn't a concern about the additional amendment, I believe we can continue to be just in a support position, and I don't think we need to do an official vote, but I will defer to Ms. Bond if that is necessary.
Ms. Bond?
If you're clear about what the intention of the board of the committee's recommend, it never hurts to make the intention clear with a vote. But if you're saying you have the committee's recommendation, then that's, if staff is clear on what the committee is trying to recommend, then that's fine. If there's any lack of clarity, then go ahead and take a vote. Is that the distinction, or am I missing something?
So I think the clarification is the supportive amended was based on amendments we suggested in April. If we have to default to stay support if amended for purposes of advocating for this bill, we don't have another board meeting until August, which it's going through the committee process now. We sent a support letter based on the fact that the amendments that we were concerned about were made to the bill, which removed our if amended vote of the support if amended. So unless the committee has concerns about the one additional piece, if we could
You
just
said they
continue
made
with
you said support if amended, and then those amendments were made?
correct.
Oh, then I think that remains clear. I mean, I don't have the letter in front of me, but if you're saying you said support as long as you make this one change, and then they made that one change, then I
Right.
think you're fine.
Okay.
And that
That's
seems clear.
was my assumption.
Okay, cool.
So thank you.
And this is Ms. Costa again, just because the author did take all of the amendments that we asked for, and the California Psychological Association added one more piece to the bill that board staff does not have any concerns with. So I believe that's where some of the confusion lies. Just wanted to add that there.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. But I think if it's been made clear that that there weren't concerns with that new added piece, that helps, right? That there's been some expression that the board's position wouldn't change because of those changes. Or at least the focus was on something else.
I don't have any concerns about the additional amendment.
Okay. Okay, because we could make a motion if we need to make it clearer, but I think I think folks understand it. So, but if we want, if the Dr. Phillips, if you'd like to make a motion, we could do that too.
We're taking a motion, but we're going to take a motion to recommend something to the board that the board's not going to hear until August.
If you'd like to have more, just to make sure that everyone understands the position. But I think we do, but
Okay, I'm not sure what the motion would be.
I'm just suggesting that we could still do that. I'm just suggesting that we could still do that. Okay. I think we're all on, I don't sense disagreement. Let me say that. Is there any other committee comment on these bills that we took positions on this year?
I have no further
Ms.
comment.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Dr. Kasuga?
None for me, thank you.
Ms. Sorick?
I just wanted to just make a quick comment on AB 2754 as Dr. Phillips asked about the face-to-face supervision waiver. This bill would codify that provision of allowing telesupervision into law, and that bill has an urgency clause. The board is, as was mentioned, in support, so it would be effective upon signature. I just wanted to let, I think staff and committee members are aware of that, but for purposes of members of the public, I just wanted to kind of clarify and note that.
Thank you, Ms. Sorick. Okay. Do we have any other staff comments? It's hard to, in our virtual environment, it's hard to see all of the different windows and cues of folks having or wanting to express comment. So I'm sorry if I'm a little slow on that. But I don't see any, so I'll go ahead and open public comment on item 7B.
We are now accepting public comment on item 7B. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Okay, so we will now move to item 7C. And this item begins on page 99 of the combined packet. And, oh, I'm sorry. I got a little turned around here. Item 7C is an information item. There's no action required. The summaries and status of each bill can be found in the combined packet between page 191 and 224. There is, one of the things that I'd like to highlight is the inclusion of SB 1223 Becker, Criminal Procedure Mental Health Diversion. This is a bill that staff identified as one that should be monitored. But the other bills we discussed at our last meeting. Are there any bills that the committee would like to discuss on item 7C?
Not for me, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Dr. Kasuga?
None for me, but I'm also interested in the SB 1223 discussion.
Okay, let's do that. Ms. Costa, could you give us a summary of SB 1223?
Yes, I can. SB 1223 would, sorry, give me 1 second. SB 1223 would change the eligibility criteria to include the diagnosis of a mental disorder instead of the court finding if the defendant suffers from a mental disorder, and would remove the requirement that the diagnosis be recent. And it would also define qualified mental health expert for these purposes. It would include psychologists as qualified mental health experts. This bill has currently been referred to the Assembly Committee on Public Safety, but does not have a hearing date. If you have any additional questions, I am available. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have committee comment on SB 1223? I don't see any. Thank you, Ms. Costa, for that update and for preparing the summaries that are included in our meeting packet. These watch items are updates. Our information items. We're not taking action on those. So I will go ahead and move to item number 8 on the agenda. Or I'm sorry, before I do that, do we need public comment on 7C? We're not taking action on those. Just checking. Let's do it. Sorry.
Now you're
Sorry.
midstream, which is great. No, it's good. But like I said, if you want to group these together, especially like you said, you're not taking action on all of them. If you want to sort of take them in chunks and sort of capture all the public comment that might come up, that might be more efficient. But yeah, just like with the earlier updates, you still would technically call for public comment, regardless of whether there's a motion up for vote.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Sorry, I get
Not at
I
all.
get a little twisted on these.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and take public comment on item 7C. These are watch bills that are for information items. We're not taking action on those. Is there public comment on 7C, the watch bills for 2022?
This is the moderator. You're doing great, Madam Chair. We're taking public comment on 7C, watch bills. Please type comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, or dial *3 to raise your hand if you wish to make a comment. We will take comments in the order they are received, and we're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes. Okay, so our next item, number 8, is legislative items for future meeting. And here the committee may discuss other items of legislation in sufficient detail to determine whether such items should be on a future committee or board meeting agenda, and or whether to hold a special meeting of the committee or board to discuss such items pursuant to Government Code Section 11-125.4. Is there any committee comment on item number 8?
Dr. Cervantes, this is Dr. Kasuga. I have a question with regards to this agenda item. I'm thinking of adding a bill for us to watch. Would that be appropriate for this item?
Well, I think it would be okay, and then because we don't take action on the watch items. But let me ask staff by way of process if that's appropriate. I think it's.
This is Mr. Glassfield, and I think it's fine, but I defer to Ms. Bond.
Are you attempting to discuss another bill that would be watched? I think yes. If I've captured that right, then yes, you're fine.
I wanted to thank you. I wanted to watch AB 58. Let me just try to see who it's by. Okay, sorry. It's the Pupil Health Suicide Prevention Policies and Training. It will involve policies created by mental health professionals in school and county mental health. So I wanted to watch it since it affects consumers' health and safety.
This is Ms. Costa, and that bill is still currently moving, so I have no problems adding that to our watch list. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kasuga.
Thank you.
Is there any other legislative items for future meetings from the committee? How about from the staff?
Staff have none.
None. Okay. Let's see. So okay, so we don't have any. I have a couple of little windows to check, so I don't hear any other future items. So let's go ahead and open public comment for item number 8, legislative items for future meetings.
We are now open for public comment on agenda item 8. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests for public comment, do you wish to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. Okay. Moving to item number 9, the regulatory update, review, and consideration of additional changes. Let me see. This item begins on page 247 of the combined packet. We have several updates here, Mr. Glass-Steagall.
Thank you. Good morning, committee members. I'm going to provide your update on agenda item 9, which is the status of the board's regulatory packages. Starting with agenda item 9A, the registered psychological associate package is back with the Office of Administrative Law after the last board meeting. Staff completed all of the required amendments or updates to the documents and returned the package back as soon as we had it finished. For item B, the retired license category, OAL, which is the Office of Administrative Law, who approves these packages, has until next Tuesday to make a decision. They have provided feedback with questions that I already met with staff on and legal counsel and the attorney with the Office of Administrative Law, and they are going to discuss internally, which is their normal process. They come back to the program or whoever submitted the regs with any questions, and then they always discuss internally. And so they are doing their internal discussion, and I'm expecting to hear on Monday what wouldn't be necessary. In anticipation of a 15-day notice for the retired license package, we are adding that that package to the agenda in August. So which is just a temporary add, but we'll see what they say next week. So there is a chance that the board will be voting on the retired license regulations in August. For agenda item C, the continuing professional development package, it is still with. I'm sorry, I mixed A and C. The registered psychological associate package is agenda item 9A. That package was submitted to the Office of Administrative Law and is going into the notice register the next time they put one out. And I actually don't have that date in front of me. I apologize. But it was approved by agency, I think, last week, and we have just submitted it. So I will, as soon as it's in the notice register, I will be sending out emails and mailings of those documents to our party. And that package just codifies what was in statute from our 2016 sunset. So this package has been around for quite some time. 9C, the continuing professional development package was voted on by the board at the meeting, and Ms. Hoganson, thank you, just told me it will be in the June 17th notice register. Thank you so much. The continuing professional development package. Oh, and she included that the comment period will be open for 9A until August 2nd. The continuing professional development package was reviewed at the April meeting. We returned everything back to the Office of Administrative Law on May 5th. I checked in with the attorney recently, and they said they've received everything and will let me know as soon as they complete their review. Items D, E, and F are in the drafting phases. I believe the next one to have complete is F, which is the disciplinary guidelines package, and that will be the next one that is noticed with the Office of Administrative Law after it goes through the DCA agency review process. I am available for any questions, and that concludes my update. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm confused as to what's where, because you said D, E, and F, but some of those seem to be further in the process.
I'm sorry. Would you mind restating your
Yeah, sure.
concern, Dr. Phillips?
You said items D, E, and F were in the drafting process, but D is OAL approved. E is almost an OAL approval. Did you mean F, G, and H?
You are absolutely correct, Dr. Phillips. I am so sorry.
Okay.
D, you're right. You are absolutely right. D is also in the drafting phase. E is approved and will be effective July 1st. F is in the drafting phase. And okay. I see what you're talking about, Dr. Phillips. The slide G and H is not exactly lining up with the document. So based on I'll go off of the document page starting at 247.
Okay.
So A is the psychological associate package. That one is going to be noticed per the information Heather provided, Ms. Hoganson provided, was just submitted to the Office of Administrative Law. So that will be in the notice register. The retired license package, that is the one that we are working with the Office of Administrative Law on, and I should hear on Monday. The inactive package for psychological associates, that is in the drafting phase. We are preparing the documents. D is the fee package. That package is approved and will be effective July 1. E is the continuing professional development package, which is back with the Office of Administrative Law after the May 5th resubmittal. It's not technically resubmittal, but we gave the additional information back to them after the April vote. And F is the disciplinary guidelines package, which is the one we are currently working on. Mm-hmm. And G and H are next in line.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification. I was looking at the document package as opposed to what's on the screen.
No problem. I was looking at what was on the screen, and I apologize.
No problems.
I'm just give me 1 second. I'm just reviewing my own notes really quickly here. Okay. I have a question on the continuing professional development. So if we're still waiting for a final on that, are we still in line for the implementation dates that we set? Or do you anticipate that might need to be readjusted as well?
No, we are still in line at this point, I believe, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Hutchinson, but if it were approved by the Office of Administrative Law in the month of June, it would become effective, or the quarterly effective date would be October 1, and then we have the effective date of the regulations of January 1, 2023, with the gap year for anyone who renews in 2023 between January 1 and December 31 to be able to do either CE or CPD.
Yeah, or that's what I understood. Ms. Hoganson, is that the same as what you understood?
Yes, and I believe that the Office of Administrative Law has the regular due date, I believe on this package is July 9th. So we're hoping they get it done before then, but that is technically their deadline, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's an item that we had a lot of discussion over the last year at our board meetings. And I think it's just helpful to restate what that timeline is. I don't have any other questions or comments on this item. Dr. Kasuga, do you?
Nothing from my end. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other staff comments on item 9? If not, we could open public comment, but hold on. I can't see all the windows. Is there staff comment? Let's just do it one at a time. I see none. Now let's open public comment for item number 9.
We are open for public comment on item number 9. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes. Okay. So we're actually, the item number 10 is our last item, and this is recommendation for agenda items for future board meetings. The committee may not discuss or take action on any matter raised during this public comment section, except to decide whether to place the matter on a public agenda of a future meeting. Are there any committee comments on item number 10? This is agenda items for future meetings.
I have no comment.
Thank you.
None for me as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any committee comment? I'm sorry, staff comment. I think I'm thinking faster than I can speak. I see none. Let's open public comment for item 10. This is recommendations for agenda items for future board meetings.
We are now open for public comment on agenda item 10. If you would like to make a comment on future agenda items, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes. Oh man, I was concerned about missing that 11:30 check-in, but I don't even think we're going to make it there. I before before we conclude, I just want to say what an honor it has been for these last 2 years to work on this committee alongside Dr. Kasuga and Dr. Phillips. I've learned so much from you during my whole term on the board, and certainly in this committee where we discuss important legislation that affects our work together on the board. Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate your patience and guidance and how much you have taken me under your wing. This is our final committee meeting for the year.
Madam Chair, may I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
I just wanted to say thank you to you and obviously to board staff and management for how well these meetings have been run, efficient, you've made use of our time, and how quickly we've gotten through the agenda today. So thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
want to echo it as well, and thank you for your leadership, Dr. Cervantes, and thank you to the hard work behind the scenes of all the board staff. Thank you so much, and to my fellow committee member, Dr. Phillips. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone, and also like our board council. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Well, while our work as a committee is coming to a close, the August our committee will still report out at the August board meeting, and our staff will continue to track the positions on these bills. And also prepare for 2023. There's two big issues that the board has taken positions on and hopes to support statutory change for 2023, and that is a fee increase and the patient privilege item that we discussed at our board meeting. I think it was earlier this year. So those are on deck for 2023. With that, I'd like to adjourn this meeting and thank you again, everybody.
Thank you, and have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
For that sentiment.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.